startup world also, things are not streamlined as it would be for a normal business life or business story. So what I'm trying to put together is a touch of reality and experience which I gained during my 5-year stint with the private equity fund. The image which you see on your screen are two pieces of a jigsaw puzzle which are being held by two hands. So these two pieces are the startup business idea and the business, and the other one is the market opportunity or the need gap it's trying to meet. The two hands holding it are the private equity fund, which are just lending a helping hand to plug together these two pieces, solving the puzzle and let it not remain as an unsolved piece of jigsaw puzzle. Before getting into my experiences or sharing the learnings, I just want to share a key learning which I gained pretty early on in my career when, as a young manager from Hindustan Lever in the world of Perfetti, Mr. Augusto Perfetti, who was the founder promoter of Perfetti International, told me after a full day's meeting, Mr. Basu, I don't know, while talking of business decisions based on logic and facts, you realize we take far more important decisions in our life based on emotions and feelings, like our wedding. So the point I'm trying to make is many of these things I'm going to share in the next 5 odd minutes are not hard facts of Excel sheets, numbers, data, etc., etc. These are kind of software into the startup world, which are maybe more important for the journey and the culmination of that journey into the news story, which is the unicorns and all that which matters to the outside world. So coming to the learnings, I think the primary expectations from a fund is of assessing the founders, and then comes the business and the business plan. A fund would primarily evaluate the founders and then invest depending on whether it's a go, no go. And basically there are few stages of that process of evaluation. First is what I call the 3 Ds. First is disruption of the market. How disruptive is of the current market dynamics what this new idea or business proposes to do. The second is delivery of the promise, because a promise not delivered remains as a plan which either turns into a dream or a nightmare depending on how one executes it. And third is the dedication to purpose. Because as anybody listening to it connected to the startup world would realize very well, rarely is the motivation for starting a business financial. It is the sheer excitement of hitting on an idea which fills a need gap in the market for either a product or a service, and then mustering courage and resources to execute that idea, do it well. And along the way comes creation of enormous wealth, creating unicorns, decacons, and hectacons in the days to come. And then after the 3 Ds are ticked, comes the end game and exit plan visibility, because every fund will have its own benchmark of timeframes in terms of its investments. Lastly, the due diligence readiness of the investee, because depending on the stage of the startup, whether it's seed, early growth, late, pre-IPO stage, the level of readiness would be different for the investee company. So it's best to get an idea early on about its level of readiness depending on the proposal on the table. And after the matrices on the left side comes the business plan and ticking on what are some of what I call are the hygiene factors of investment of a PE fund. First is, of course, the market metrics and competitive advantage, which involves the customer engagement, customer commitment. Mind you, I'm avoiding the word of customer awareness and trial, because that is not good enough for a market disruption. And then stakeholder engagement. Next comes the financial matrix, whether it's cash flows, liquidity, capital adequacy metrics, of course, the payback period. And because it's the startup world, there are issues of scalability and sustainability. And that's what makes it big. And lastly, for the recent 1 or 2 years, these two factors of ESG and diversity inclusion are becoming increasingly important globally for nations, for businesses, and hence for many of the private equity funds as well. So here are some soft factors which perhaps go beyond what many of you would get through a simple Google search on what are the evaluation parameters or matrices of private equity investors looking for in the startup world. So thank you very much for your time and attention, and I open it up to questions from any of you.
Thank you, sir. I think in a nutshell, you have almost put across everything that it has to be a disruption in the market. और जो लोग अभी सोच रहे हैं कि भाई हम लोग प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च करेंगे और इस स्टेज में है कि प्रोडक्ट लेके आने वाले या प्रोडक्ट लेके आए हैं, इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि किस डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है, क्योंकि इन्वेस्टर्स आर लुकिंग फॉर सर्टेन थिंग्स right from your product, the kind of financials, and also scalability and sustainability. Now we have got sir, a lot of startups with us in our group who has actually joined today. So we will take questions one by one. So who would like to go first? कौन सबसे पहले क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहते हैं? Anyone?
So can I ask?
Yes.
First,
Yes, Sparsh, please. Go ahead.
So I wanted to ask, like, is there like a minimum revenue criteria, like whenever want to approach investors, or it doesn't depend at all. Like, I mean, I'm always confused about that fact. Like, what? So when should we approach? Like, when is your venture fundable? Like, at what stage should we approach?
That's a very important issue, Mr. Mittal. And frankly, for an investor, what matters more than the revenue per se is the number of years of track record and experience you have. If you have consistent growth, is more important than the level of revenue. You should have consistent growth. You should have proof that your idea is working, even though at a small scale, and that's the whole idea of getting funding, to scale it up. So to answer your question, more important than revenue is actual implementation of your idea working on the ground.
But sir, just a follow-up question, like how big, like when you say like it's working on the ground, I mean, there must be some way of determining that, right? Like, because numbers, like okay, what is the minimum set of numbers, or what is the minimum scale, I mean, they're looking for, or it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, I can even be operating from a very small zone, or I could be operating a couple of cities. I mean, is there a criteria when you guys look at the venture and decide?
It will be different for different funds, because even within a fund, it will have its portfolio of investments. It's just like equity investment for an individual investor. You invest in a portfolio depending on the risk your risk profile and all that. So similarly, a fund would have a portfolio of investments, with some of them looked at as multi-baggers and some of them as growth sectors, etc., etc. So the more important, so if you are operating even at a city or state level, I think the criteria really looked at is minimum of 12 to 24 months of experience of actual on-ground numbers. So what are important are the on-ground numbers.
So, sir, here I've got a question. So if suppose the product is very good, but somehow the numbers are not there to back up, because sometimes I have seen, in some of the cases where the startup has got very good product, extremely good product, but to back it up with the numbers are not there, because probably, lack of execution, or sometimes timing in the market, something is not right. So the numbers are not there. So in that case, what should the startup do? How should the startup go about it?
What you're saying, Sandeep, is something which happens quite often in the world of business, especially in the world of startup business. So what they should do, to answer your question simply and really truthfully, is to come to mentors and coaches like you, to mentors and consultants like you, because they have another problem to solve before they can actually go for funding to a PE fund. If they don't have the successful numbers to show, it will fail as an investment proposal, because the fund will have its own matrices of investment.
Right, sir. Any other questions from anyone else?
Yeah. Hi, sir. I do have a question.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
Geet, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
So my question is, to be very honest, I'm not into startup right now. So I look forward to have my own startup down 5 or 6 years down the lane. But my very basic question is, what is the ideal ratio of equity and debt that one should look forward?
One is ideal, the other is realistic. So I would separate out these two. Ideal should be, it should be as much debt-free as possible, your seed capital. Because one of the key factors for any startup is to keep the expense very low, and interest payout is a major expense. So ideal is 100 equity, 0 debt, but realistic would be 80 equity and rest of different levels of debt.
Okay, thank you.
So equity is what should be preferred over debt in any stage. Okay. Anyone else who wants to ask a question?
So can I ask another question?
Yes, please.
On this. So like you said about equity and debt. So sometimes I also I'm in a fix that okay, should I take debt? Should I take a loan to expand my business, or should I go for equity? Like, what would you adjust? What would you advise to anyone? Like, should equity be as a business? What should I first look forward to? Getting funding. Obviously, getting funding requires lot more work, as you mentioned. But where should the focus be?
Mr. Mittal, to advise you very frankly, out of my 30 plus years of corporate experience, including the PE fund experience, debt is a temptation, and it's a shortcut. It's a shortcut for accessing funds, but it's a very dangerous, risky temptation. Because if things don't work out well, which there are fair chances of not working out well, you are doomed. So it's as much as possible, you should try and go for equity, which is of course always not possible, but then try and make it as outflow independent as possible. So in a startup phase, or why in a startup phase, for many of the established corporates also, especially what is happening all over India for the last 6-7 years, major companies are going bankrupt, they're going into insolvency and all that, bankruptcy, because of debt commitments they have had. So you should resist the temptation of going for easy debt for expansion.
Okay. So you would suggest going for equity if I have to expand and scale, than taking a loan, I guess.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Now, any one of you want to showcase any product of yours? Okay. Yes, Parsh. Please go ahead.
Can I show
Showcase your
focus? I don't have
Yeah,
many
so-
products actually. As
The
a
world is watching. The world is watching.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hope I do justice to.
No, sure.
So yeah. So my name is Parsh Mittal, and I'm the founder of a startup called Zero Belly. So Zero Belly is a healthy breakfast cereals brand, which we have developed with the goodness of whole grains. So that is our USP, that everything is whole grains. So our mission is to create healthy, delicious breakfast products. And I just wanted to showcase you one. I don't have all the products of my portfolio at my home. So this is a like a 1 kg pouch of oats, which we have in the market. And this is a mascot we call Miss Z. And there's a Zero Valley logo. And if your tagline, zero fiber-rich breakfast. So all our products are like, mostly natural. We have tried to be different from Kellogg's, on the big brands by focusing, on the health part. So we're not a weight loss, brand, I say, but, eating Zero Belly will definitely help you, go towards your fitness goals. So that is the USP which we go to the market. So primarily we are, we started with mostly retail, but we suffered actually heavy loss in COVID because our sales team got COVID and a lot of stock got stuck. So we moved mostly to online, past 1.5 years. So we are doing business on mostly all the platforms like Big Basket, Amazon, like, Flipkart or Grofers and all, and looking to scale, get more products. Right now we have around 18 products in the portfolio, and we do around 2,000 orders a month. So we're looking for, funding, but it's like, attending the session was because, I was always confused, how to go out funding, because, I always feel the revenue is not that at the way it should be, compared to other, bigger brands. So like, should I go now or should I wait to, use my own funds? So that's why I'm here to get some knowledge.
Fabulous hearing about this. This is the opportunity of the future because the world is moving to wellness. It's beyond healthy and fitness. It's now into wellness. And this is the core of wellness.
Definitely.
So,
Yes.
I mean, congratulations for moving into it now. And your issues that you mentioned are also the hunger of a startup founder. So what I would suggest is,
Yes, sir.
there are now a lot of government-sponsored schemes and loans possible, especially in the recent past, some of these have come up. So you need to go to somebody who understands these issues. So they would be available at much cheaper terms and rates than any of the banks would offer you.
So banks don't even like, because now the business is around 1.5, 2 years old, and the banks, especially the nationalized banks, don't even talk properly. I mean, I'll be honest. So it's only the private banks which have shown little flexibility. Like they will offer you unsecured loans in terms of overdraft, all those things. Whereas, if you go to SBI, they don't even talk properly. They'll say कि इतना पुराना नहीं है, the profitability नहीं है, and इतने asset नहीं है. So it becomes very challenging because, if you want to compete against Kellogg's, obviously I'm not a competitor to Kellogg's, but if I want to create a niche, I have to scale, right, at some level to at least, because everyday new competition is also coming up. So I need those funds, I need the funds fast. So as you said, loans are quick, short-term, measures, but you also need those, right? But obviously funding would solve the main issue. But for short-term loans, you have to approach the banks and all, like as you mentioned.
No, that's the point I'm trying to make. There are a lot of these schemes which have come up, especially in the last 1 or 2 India, under these schemes like Startup India. The finance minister has come out with a lot of schemes.
Yes.
So there are schemes. Now, I know for sure there are schemes for tribal self-help group, women's self-help groups, because I'm engaged with one of them from my social development engagement. We work with a tribal women startup, Prakriti Food Products, which markets ragi-based food items. So it's not only breakfast, but it's a range of ready-to-eat, ready-to-make ragi-based food items. Ragi is one of the most healthy grains.
Yes, sir.
So that's why I'm saying, get somebody who knows about these government schemes to seriously look into your issues, and I'm sure you can find a solution to your problems.
So where should I start? Like any hints, any suggestions, like who's the right person to approach, or where, to start with?
I wouldn't know because I'm not a financial expert per se.
Okay.
I think you should visit the Startup India website. There
Okay,
you
sir.
will see there was this scheme which was for startups. We have started in the last, I think, 1 or 2 years,
Okay.
and they were giving startup funding. And there was I don't remember the name of that scheme, but it was definitely there. I think it is still there. So you
Okay,
go to
sir,
the
I'll take a-
Startup India website. and on the homepage itself, they have advertised that particular scheme.
Sure, definitely I'll do that. So,
Yeah.
Definitely.
So this is a very good option, probably.
Definitely. Definitely.
Great, Sparsh. Thanks a lot for sharing your product, your ideas, and we are thrilled to know about your product. This is the first time, in fact, I'm seeing your packaging. It's
Sorry
really,
about that. Actually, I never showed that. So today was a day I thought I should.
it's really good. It's really good. And
Thank
the
you,
name also, Zero Belly. It's
Yes,
very
sir.
catchy. And as a marketing expert, I think Bhaskar sir also would be appreciating it.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations and wish you all the best for the success of Zero Belly.
Thank you, sir, for giving us the platform today. It was very helpful to at least showcase to the world through your platform.
Sure. And this video is going to be there. And anyone watching later also, not only today,
Sure,
anyone who watches our channel later also will be able to see this product.
Sure, sir.
Anyone else who wants to showcase the product? Yeah, Raju, you want to show? राजू, आप दिखाना चाहते हो? आपका म्यूट है पहले तो. हाँ, नमस्ते राजू जी, कैसे आप?
बस फाइन सर. एक्चुअली मेरा एक थोड़ा डाउट है सर.
हाँ, पूछिए.
मैं हिंदी में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है सर?
नहीं, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं.
हाँ, ठीक है सर. मैं 2 साल से एक्चुअली सैनिटरी पैड का मार्केट में मैं ये बिजनेस कर रहा हूँ. मैं व्हाइट लेबलिंग करके मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करवा रहा हूँ सैनिटरी पैड्स.
अच्छा,
सैनिटरी पैड्स.
हाँ, ठीक है.
केमिकल फ्री मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करवा, केमिकल फ्री प्रोडक्ट है. मैं फिलहाल दो यहाँ पे तेलंगाना में 2 डिस्ट्रिक्ट में ये फिलहाल मैं स्टार्ट किया हुआ है. और रिस्पॉन्स भी जहाँ पे हमने ये स्टोर में रखा हुआ है वहाँ पे रीऑर्डर्स भी आ रहा है. बट प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि मेरे पास इतना फंड्स नहीं है कि मैं इसको डेवलप करूँ, ज़्यादा स्केलेबिलिटी बढ़ाऊँ. तो अभी क्या है कि मेरा फ्रेंड्स के साथ मैंने डिस्कस किया हुआ है, तो उन लोग ने 30 से 50 लाख तक मुझे देने के लिए वो राजी हो गए, सब फ्रेंड्स मिलके. तो अभी प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि मैं उनको किस तरह से कैसे वैल्यूएशन करके उनको इक्विटी देना, वो मुझे कंफ्यूजन हो रहा है. हेलो.
हाँ जी. एक तो ये स्टार्टअप्स की जो ये वैल्यूएशन की इशू है, इट्स ऑल्सो अनदर ऑफ द मेजर इश्यूज व्हिच इज देयर एट दिस स्टेज ऑफ योर बिजनेस. तो वैल्यूएशन की 2 बेसिक प्रिंसिपल्स होती है. एक तो आप अपने करंट रेवेन्यू स्ट्रीम में फ्यूचर वैल्यूएशन करिए. वैल्यूएशन आपकी आज की वैल्यूएशन आज के रेवेन्यू पे नहीं होगी. वो रेवेन्यू जिस रेट पे ग्रो हो रही है 3 साल बाद उसकी क्या वैल्यूएशन होगी, उस हिसाब से वैल्यूएशन होगी. और वैल्यूएशन इज एनीथिंग फ्रॉम 25 to 50 times of your EBITDA, which is earning before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization. 25-50 गुना से ज्यादा वैल्यूएशन मतलब कोई छूती नहीं है. दूसरा चीज जो ऐड कर सकते हैं, वो आपके स्टेज में वो वैलिड नहीं होगा अभी. तो आप अपना ब्रांड वैल्यू ऐड कर सकते हैं.
ओके.
If it is a running recognized brand in the market.
ओके.
राजू जी, आप अपना प्रोडक्ट को दिखा सकते हैं कैमरा पे?
एक्चुअली कैमरा आपको दिखाई दे रहा है क्या?
हाँ, दिख रहा है. आप अपना प्रोडक्ट को सामने लाइए, कैमरा के सामने. नाइस. आप थोड़ा और पास लाइए, कैमरा को और पास लाइए. नाम दिखाई नहीं पढ़ने.
सुरभि सैनिटरी नैपकिन.
सुरभि. वंडरफुल. ये कितने का पैक्स है? मतलब मिड पे?
ये 6 पीस का है.
आपका
ये
कितने
डबल एक्सल है.
कितने SKUs है आपके?
5 SKUs है अभी.
5 SKUs.
ये बनाते कौन है? आपके वर्कर्स की क्या प्रोफाइल? हाँ,
ना, मैं ये थर्ड पार्टी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करवा रहा हूँ.
कहाँ से? थर्ड पार्टी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग?
हाँ, ये नागपुर में है.
नहीं, मैं इसलिए पूछ रहा हूँ क्योंकि पिछले साल फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर ने एक स्कीम निकाली थी कि कोई भी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग अगर उसमें कोई ट्राइबल विमेन इन्वॉल्व है
हाँ
तो उनको कुछ 5 लाख या ऐसे, आई डोंट रिमेम्बर दैट फिगर, बट इट्स अ साइजेबल सम, उनको ऐसा लोन मिल सकता है.
ओके
जस्ट चेक विथ योर थर्ड पार्टी मैन्युफैक्चरर, उनके वर्कर्स
हाँ
में कुछ, नागपुर एरिया इज ए ट्राइबल हैवी बेल्ट,
ओके
उसमें कुछ ट्राइबल विमेन है या नहीं है, ऐसे कुछ अगर नहीं भी है तो उनको बोलिए कि अगर वो ऐसे कुछ वर्कर्स को ला सकते हैं इस काम के लिए.
ठीक है ठीक है
इससे
मैं ट्राई
बहुत
करता हूँ.
फाइनेंशियल बेनिफिट्स मिलेगी आपको.
हाँ फिलहाल तो हमारा तो अच्छा रिस्पॉन्स है. और ट्रेडमार्क का भी हमारा अभी हियरिंग हुआ था, वो भी पॉजिटिव आया. मे बी वो रजिस्टर भी हो सकता है, वो भी एक अच्छा मेरे लिए पॉजिटिव न्यूज है, सुरभि ब्रांड.
राजू जी, जो भास्कर सर बोल रहे हैं कि नागपुर के अराउंड अगर कोई ट्राइबल औरत है,
हाँ हाँ सर.
जो
हाँ
जो ट्राइबल्स होते हैं ना, जो
हम्म.
देहाती मतलब देहात से होते हैं बेसिकली,
हाँ हाँ
तो
It's
ट्राइबल,
not Dehat. It's not Dehat,
नॉट,
Sandeep.
दिस इज नॉट द राइट
Government
वर्ड.
has a specific definition of tribals who are, there are 700 tribes recognized by the Indian Constitution. So they are all mentioned under scheduled tribes. वो act है. तो वो उनको मालूम होगा कि they are ST or not. जिसको हम SC ST बोलते हैं, the ST part, scheduled tribes.
अच्छा अच्छा,
They are
अगर
not any Dehati women.
ओके ओके,
ठीक है सर. मैं
जो
मैं
ट्राइबल
देख लेता
वुमेन
हूँ.
अगर आपके मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के साथ जुड़े रहते हैं, अगर
ओके
उसमें है, तो आपको गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से फाइनेंशियल बेनिफिट मिलता है आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन.
ओके ठीक है सर. ओके मैं देख लेता हूँ. थैंक यू सर.
ओके, थैंक यू. अच्छा, ये एक इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट भास्कर सर ने बोला है कि इबिट्टा के ऊपर वैल्यूएशन डिपेंड्स ऑन द इबिट्टा. नाउ यू नो व्हाई वी डिस्कस्ड इबिट्टा इन एफएमसीजी के बादशाह ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम. क्यों हम लोगों ने
हाँ
शुरू में इबिट्टा डिस्कस किया था एफएमसीजी
हाँ
का बादशाह ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम में, पूरा हम लोगों ने ये डिस्कस किया था. दिस
ये-
इज वेरी वेरी
yes,
इंपॉर्टेंट.
sir.
अगर वो क्या करते होता है ना, स्टार्टअप्स पहले से ये मिस कैलकुलेशन कर लेते हैं, बाद में स्ट्रगल करते हैं. अगर शुरू से ही आप इबिट्टा पकड़ के चलोगे तो आपका स्टेडी ग्रोथ होगा और उसके बेसिस पे आपको फंडिंग भी मिलेगा. राइट? या
और
सो
सर
या
मेरा एक्चुअली क्या है, मेरा मेरा एक्चुअली क्या मंथली जैसे मेरा 10% जैसा मेरा प्रॉफिट होता है. तो मुझे ये कंफ्यूजन बहुत है कि मंथली 10% होता है तो ईयरली तो 120% हुआ ना. ये इतना हेल्दी हेल्दी आरओई मेरा 50% के ऊपर तो हेल्दी आरओई है ना, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं ना उसमें.
देखिए, प्रॉफिट का क्या मतलब कैलकुलेशन जो है वो काफी डिफरेंट डिफरेंट तरीके से लोग करते हैं. आप किस तरीके से करते हो वो जानना जरूरी है. और जिस तरीके से
अच्छा
हम लोगों
ओके.
ने अपने ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम में किया था ना इबिट्टा कैलकुलेशन,
हाँ
अगर आप
हाँ हाँ
उस तरीके से आप करोगे तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि कहाँ पे आपका एक्चुअली प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी आ रहा है, क्योंकि वो इबिट्टा ही देखेगा इन्वेस्टर्स,
ओके
उसी के ऊपर वैल्यूएशन होगा. ठीक है.
ठीक है सर. ओके थैंक यू. ओके
Okay. Any other
थैंक यू.
last? We can take one last product if anyone wishes to. एक last product हम ले सकते हैं. I can see Govind Ram ji has also joined. Govind sir, you're there. Okay. So Gaurav, you want to share something? Geet, you want to share something? Geet has already shared. Anish, you want to say something?
No, sir. As of now, nothing.
Okay. Okay. You
Yeah.
want to showcase your product? You
No,
are
as of now, no, I'm not in a position to showcase the product. My product is yet to be finalized on.
okay. So at what stage you are right now? You are in the process of manufacturing it.
In the process of manufacturing, how it's outsourced manufacturing, third-party manufacturing, but the packing, everything, I've got stuck for a while because of the fund issues and other stuff. So as of now, it's on stuck, especially on the packing side and on the vendor finalizations.
Okay, okay, great, wonderful, wonderful. So I wish you all the best. So
Thank
I
you,
think
sir.
no, you are moving in the right direction. और
Yeah.
थोड़ा जल्दी कीजिए because market
Very much.
after this COVID is going to really what
Boom back.
experts
Yeah,
are
I know that.
expecting is going to it's going to be a really really sharp curve upwards. So don't
right.
miss this great opportunity.
Very much. I'll do that. Thank you.
So,
Thanks for the wishes.
Thank you, and I know I wish everyone very good luck. We have to close the session now. If there's any one last question or anything which you want to say, we can do this. Because what we have planned is that every Sunday we are going to have these kind of sessions. This was the first one. So if you plan to showcase your product, ask direct questions to our mentors. You can do that. You can, reach out to the mentors as well as to the world, and hopefully through this channel, we will be able to, give you some assistance at least. Okay. So great. Thank you and wishing you all the very best. So we'll close the Zoom meeting over here. Thank you, all the viewers. Thanks for joining and see you. Bye-bye. Thank you.